Hi everyone, welcome back to Metanoia. My name is Carrie Jane. I want to start this video with thanking anyone who is watching right now who decided to click on this video. And that is because this is not a video that I normally do. It's a vlog, it's something about a personal experience that I had, as well as beyond that. But more so, this is a video that is not about you specifically. This is not me telling you about your numerology number, what makes you special. And this is not a video about me, showing you something that you can buy in spirituality, like stones or decks. This is a much more important video, and it is on the climate crisis. And so if you clicked on this video, even though this does not pertain to you in the way that I described, that means you're probably a very special person, and thank you for being here. This video is going to be about my experience with the New York City Climate Strike of September 2019. I live in New York. I took the train in on that day, and it was the first time in my life that I had experienced the deep way in which people are ready for change. And mostly it's our youth. And that is because they are going through something that no one has ever had to go through before that we know of. And, I'm a part of that group as well. But I think that, what makes my generation a little bit different than theirs is just that we had gone through 9/11 recently, and we had gone through a major recession. And if you were like me, you were in a family where a dad had no way of supporting their family because they just got laid off and their kids were in college. So when you're going through that kind of stress, you're only thinking about the next 5 minutes. And even though we were taught about climate change, and even though we were in this deep, deep sadness, we were also more active, I think, about just trying to secure our immediate future. I was just worried about going to college so that I'd be able to feed myself eventually. And then I did, and I still can't feed myself on my own. I still can't support myself fully on my own, I should say, because the same issues are here. And I think that is the main reason why the youth are acting the most. I think that it's just apparent to us, older generations now, and it's apparent to them that things are just not going to get better. They're only going to get worse if we don't act now. And so I feel really lucky to have been able to be a part of that history. And if you want to see a picture of my sign, and if you want to see some live footage that I took, please go to the links in the description to my social media. I post them in every video, and check that out. I had a hard time getting live footage, unfortunately, because there was no service. And there was no service because there was an estimate of 250,000 people in New York City that day. Not in Manhattan, but for the climate strike. And I believe it because the second that I got out of the subway station, there was a parade. There was a parade of children. There was a protest on the way to the protest. We were stopping traffic on the way to Foley Square. We hadn't even started walking to Battery Park yet. So just to, put things into perspective, that was what was going on right off the bat. My protest sign said, "You cannot eat money." And I got that from the Native American proverb that states, "Only when the last tree has fallen, the last fish been caught, and the last river been poisoned, will you realize that you cannot eat money." And what that's saying is that if you exhaust resources for profit, all you're going to have left is profit. All you're going to have left is paper and now digital currency in a bank account. And that does nothing for us. Many people, they don't really understand how our currency works. I think my message was overall received very well. I posed for a lot of pictures. I, had a lot of people compliment me on my sign. So for the most part, I think people understood it and they appreciated it. But there were a handful of people that were confused. I think I heard one guy saying, "But you buy food with money," and this is most people. Like they don't understand how our money works, where our money comes from. Here in America, at least, we have a fiat system, and fiat money is limitless money. It's not bound to anything. And Mother Earth is a finite system, and it just doesn't work here. We're going 100 miles per hour towards a cliff. This is spaceship Earth. There's no limitlessness to this, and we cannot continue on as we have. So as most people know, Greta Thunberg was there, as well as, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but yeah, Greta was there, and Will Smith's kids were there at the events, but also this woman who I'm about to edit into this video. I'm going to insert a clip of what she had to say, and her name was Judy Sheridan Gonzalez, and I believe she was the president of the New York State Nurses Association, and is right now, if you're watching this video recently since I've posted it. And I really loved what she had to say, honestly, the most, I think, because it was a viewpoints on climate change from the nurses' perspective. And it really is a good argument about how this is not just a concern for scientists, and this is not just a concern for people who are in this field, whatever that means. Obviously, when you threaten people's resources, it affects every single human being. And this is why I've always said that the environment is the most humanitarian cause that you can ever pursue. Because it aids, HIV, things like cancer, things like MS, things that we have walks for every single day, really don't matter at the end of the day when we don't have viable water to drink. Our air is not, breathable. It's giving us asthma and slowly killing us. And we are changing the climate so much that growing food will be tricky, so on and so forth. I could go on and on and on. Obviously, these things aren't going to matter anymore when we're dying off in the masses because we're having climate wars. But this is not obvious to many people. And what she had to say about, being as a nurse, her concerns for what's happening right now is, I think, really important to hear, and that's why I'm putting it in this video. So, yeah, cue that video clip.
Ask me, why are nurses so concerned about the climate? What business is it of your union to get involved in something that has nothing to do with your profession? And we say it has everything to do with our profession, our union, our patients, and our future. Who do you think rescues and cares for victims of heat waves, causing untold death and serious heat-related complications, even when they're waiting at a rally? Wildfires, increasing in depth and severity as I stand here. Floods, leaving toxic molds, pneumonias, asthma, and heart damage. Droughts, causing unprecedented food insecurity, starvation, and malnutrition. Fracking, pipelines, bomb trains, diesel fuel exhaust, poisoning our air, soil, and water, nature's precious life-sustaining gifts to humankind. Super hurricanes and typhoons, killing off whole populations and towns in a single day, obliterating islands in the global south and leading to long-term illness, creating conditions for new bacteria and viruses to thrive. And all of these events lead to homelessness, depression, suicides, and massive emigration. They come to us, desperate, lost, suffering, terrified, asking, what happened? What kind of life can I look forward to now now that I've lost everything, they come to us. When Hurricane Sandy hit New York, does everyone remember that? Yes. We woke up to the enormity of that storm, and as we cared for folks whose health and lives were upended by its impact, we knew we had a moral responsibility not only to treat the patients, but to research, comprehend, and take a stand against the causes of these climate catastrophes that were engulfing our world. Are we taking a stand? In the meantime, we formed collectives of volunteers ready and willing to go to disaster regions impacted by the deadly effects of climate change. We sent multiple teams to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands after Hurricane Maria. And now we travel all over the world to do what we can to mitigate the horrific impact of these events. And we saw with our own eyes where the bodies were buried in Puerto Rico, as there was no refrigeration in morgues and no roads and no fuel for transport. Imagine watching your mom take her last breath before your eyes because she couldn't get oxygen or a nebulizer for her emphysema, and then burying her body in your backyard. We saw this. And so our union, our nurses will continue to work in our honorable profession inside the walls of our hospitals and in the mountainsides, the marshlands, the cities, and the jungles of our planet. But this work is only applying a Band-Aid to a gaping wound. Our planet is crying out to us to heal its wounds, to remove the cancer that is destroying the only body we have as a people, to save our world from its ultimate destruction. And we promise to work with each and every one of you, our youth, the unsung heroes of the universe. That's you. You hold the future in your hands and in your hearts, and we're standing by your side with our stethoscopes, with our voices, and with our own bodies and souls, because saving the planet is saving all of our lives, and saving lives is our business. One planet, one future, one world. Thank you so much.
So again, that was Judy Sheridan Gonzalez. Thank you, Judy, for standing up for us, the human race, essentially. And now I want to show you guys Greta, and I apologize for how choppy it is and for the poor visibility of all these videos, but like I said, there were 250,000 people who attended to the thing, so you can imagine how difficult it was for me to get in front, and I was tired. It was like 82 degrees that day, and people were actually passing out or having difficulty in the audience. And so not only is it choppy because like I'm editing pieces out for you and kind of just putting it together, but because I had to stop recording because there was lots of problems in the audience. There were just so many people there. Like I said, it was hot, which is ironic, and you know, it's like New York City at the end of September. All this, just consider that. And I did the best I could to get the important pieces of Greta's message, so here's that.
Hello, New York City. It is an honor for me to be here with all of you today on this historical day. And thank you all so much for coming. I heard there were in New York, they're still counting, but at least 250,000 people. And around the world today, about 4 million people have been striking. We are still counting. So this is the biggest climate strike ever in history, and we all should be so proud of ourselves because we have done this together. So thank you so much. Where I come from, things are very different than here. But when it comes to the climate and ecological emergency, and the people in power, it is pretty much the same. In fact, everywhere I've been, the situation is more or less the same. The people in power, their beautiful words are the same. The number of politicians and celebrities who wants to take selfies with us are the same. The empty promises are the same. The lies are the same. And the inaction is the same. Nowhere have I found anyone in power who dares to tell it like it is. Because no matter where you are, even that burden they leave to us teenagers, us children. And this Monday, world leaders are going to be gathered here in New York City for the United Nations Climate Action Summit. The eyes of the world will be on them. They have a chance to prove that they, too, are united behind the science. They have a chance to take leadership, to prove they actually hear us. Do you think they hear us? We will make them hear us. Sure. And we demand a safe future. Is that really too much to ask? Right now, we are the ones who are making a difference. If no one else will take action, then we will. It should not be that way. We should not be the ones who are fighting for the future, and yet here we are. But we are not just some young people skipping school or some adults who are not going to work. We are a wave of change. Together and united, we are unstoppable. This is what people power looks like. We will rise to the challenge. We will hold those who are the most responsible for this crisis accountable, and we will make the world leaders act. We can and we will. And we demand a safe future. Is that really too much to ask? Right now, we are the ones who are making a difference. If no one else will take action, then we will. It should not be that way. We should not be the ones who are fighting for the future, and yet here we are. But we are not just some young people skipping school or some adults who are not going to work. We are a wave of change. Together and united, we are unstoppable. This is what people power looks like. We will rise to the challenge. We will hold those who are the most responsible for this crisis accountable, and we will make the world leaders act. We can and we will.
I think that if for whatever reason I had to get up on that stage and talk to a bunch of people about this, I would express what lunacy I think it is, that we have to fight for something like drinkable water, breathable air, viable land, a future, an existence here on Earth. I don't think people understand how crazy things are right now. It's easy. I think it's easy to become complacent. I think it's easy to not think there's an issue because people are uneducated and people are misled and people are emotional, they're reactionary. They really are not thinkers, they're feelers, and so they'll feel literally anything and then act on that as an impulse and then go no further. And when all of this combined happens, you know, you walk out the door, you feel fine right now, but we're really just exactly like frogs in boiling water. We don't really realize how deeply we are going to be suffering and are currently hurting at this current time. This is why a lot of the signs at the climate strike said, wake up. I mean, my personal favorite, as a side note, was compost the rich. I'm stealing that because I love that so much. But it's just absolute lunacy. Like, think about that. Imagine a sci-fi world where people had to fight for existence. Recently, one of my favorite things that has been said that I've been listening to on the current state of things is from Stephen Greer. As I listen to like all his YouTube posts on serious disclosure, etc. And recently he said something like, you know, based on his experience, and I've noticed this too, like where he grew up, it takes very few people to ruin it for the rest of us. And that was good. It was good to hear because it makes it gives you hope that this is not the reflection of the human race entirely, that this is just the 1%, as we call it, who really just don't care about completely destroying everything. He said it takes very few people to ruin it all for everyone. And the reason why things have gotten so bad, he said, is not because of some crazy convoluted conspiracy theory. It's because the average person has not done the right thing over and over and over and over again for forever, basically. This is what the result of that. The average person not, having the courage to do what is right. And so I ask of you today to not be complacent, to organize. There are strikes, there have been strikes that have occurred after this event. Go to it. We have a civil obedience issue. All it would take is for the entire human race to not buy gas for one day, to start bringing this thing to its knees. And that would take an enormous amount of organization that I just don't think the people have anymore, because they've been basically brainwashed into division because of the internet and because of all this stuff. And if you are a climate denier watching this video right now, watch the video that I'm going to post tomorrow, because that's for you. I've gone over what I've said so far, and I think I've said everything I can say for now. So I'm going to just wrap up this message with saying that there is a lot of hope left. If there wasn't, things would look drastically different right now. There is a lot left to be done that can completely turn this thing around. And so I don't want you to be left with this feeling of helplessness, because that's not the case. We have a lot more power than we think we do. And the thing is that I think the reason why we don't really realize how quickly things can change is because human beings are extraordinarily innovative and they adapt very well. But that has been stunted, that has been brought back, because it would compete the interests of the petrodollar. It would compete the interests of all the corporations that are running the show right now. We're making money off of sicknesses. We're making profits off of anything and everything that is creating this conglomerate destruction that is the climate crisis. And as soon as we break that down, human beings have the innovation to find the alternate energy sources, to maintain the level of civilization that we have today. So I just want to leave you with that message, and so that we can continue this fight and know that there is a lot left to fight for, basically. So thank you all again so much for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, and take care.